Doom. What more can be said about Doom? If you were alive in the 1990s, you played Doom. Even if you weren't alive in the 90s, at some point you've probably still played Doom. It's been released on just about every platform imaginable. The Doom 3 BFG edition includes the original Doom and Doom 2 games playable on new consoles. If you didn't already have them on PlayStation Network or Xbox Live, you can get Doom on iOS today, and in the past it was on Atari's Jaguar, Sega's 32X, the Sony PlayStation, and yes, even the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. I'm fairly certain Doom has been released on more platforms than any other game in history. Among its many revisions, we've seen some graphical enhancements, tweaks, changes, some minor and some major, such as the more technical transparency features added to the PlayStation version of the game. I won't even try to get into the myriad of third-party launchers, mods, and graphically enhanced re-releases like Doom Legacy, D-Glass, and J-Doom, and whatever newer, more modern updates have come out since. Although many of the launchers may include graphical upgrades, they still utilize the original WAD files that made up the Doom games. Those files contained all of the levels and many of the assets that made up the levels. Although thousands of level creators relied on things such as the Doom Hacker's Guide, more often than not, people either illegally repackaged the original WAD files or told you to bring your own from your own copy of Doom. Or even use the shareware version, the first episode of the original Doom game, making those first levels some of the most replayed and most iconic levels in gaming history. Despite there being literally thousands of custom-made maps and mods for the Doom games, most people are familiar with the originals. Even the modern re-releases on Steam, Xbox Live, and PSN don't touch up the graphics. They're just the originals, as we remember them. I want to take a minute to acknowledge what inspired this video, and that happens to be my memories of the awesome instruction booklet and that attractive red cartridge of the Super NES version of Doom. I had to have it when I was a kid. So when I got my hands on it and thumbed through its camouflage and manila pages, complete with fake binder rings, you can bet that I was amped up to get home, pop that cartridge in, fire it up, and oh my god, what the f*** is that? In my childhood, I was so eager to play a new incarnation of Doom, I never considered what the limitations of the SNES might lead to. If you're familiar enough with Doom, it's easy to use your imagination and see the rest of the game. But if this was your first introduction to Doom, you might not be as big of a fan as I was. After looking at the manual, what a disappointment. Luckily, I was fortunate enough in my childhood to have a PC capable of playing Doom, so I remain satisfied with the fact that I had that red cartridge in my collection, but stuck to playing Doom on my PC. So enough about the various incarnations of Doom. I mean, we've all blasted away some version of a demon, alien, zombie, imp, or something. But other than our own trigger-squeezing, button-mashing compulsions, why does the Doom Marine or Doom Guy battle these demon hordes? Well, I don't have a manual for the original PC version of Doom, but luckily Steam puts one online. It's not very attractive looking, but let's see. The story so far. Hey, that has a decent ring to it. Wait, the rest of this looks familiar. id Software reused the same text with no change here in the Sony PlayStation version of the game's instruction manual, and the same text again appeared in the Super Nintendo's manual, as well as many others. They actually give us quite a bit to work with, so bear with me as I try to do a bit of a dramatic reading. You're a Marine, one of Earth's toughest, hardened in combat and trained for action. 3 years ago, you assaulted a superior officer for ordering his soldiers to fire upon civilians. He and his body cast were shipped to Pearl Harbor, while you were transferred to Mars, home of the Union Aerospace Corporation. The UAC is a multi-planetary conglomerate with radioactive waste facilities on Mars and its 2 moons, Phobos and Deimos. With no action for 50 million miles, your day consists of sucking dust and watching restricted flicks in the rec room. For the last 4 years, the military, UAC's biggest supplier, has used the remote facilities on Phobos and Deimos to conduct various secret projects, including research on interdimensional space travel. So far, they've been able to open gateways between Phobos and Deimos, throwing a few gadgets into one and watching them come out the other. Recently, however, the gateways have become dangerously unstable. Military volunteers entering them have either disappeared or been stricken with a strange form of insanity, babbling vulgarities, bludgeoning anything that breathes, and finally, suffering an untimely death of full-body explosion. Matching heads with torsos to send home to the folks has become a full-time job. Latest military reports state that the research is suffering a small setback, but everything is under control. A few hours ago, Mars received a garbled message from Phobos. We require immediate military support. Something evil is coming out of the gateways. Computer systems have gone berserk. The rest was incoherent. Soon afterwards, Deimos simply vanished from the sky. Since then, attempts to establish contact with either moon have been unsuccessful. You and your buddies, the only combat troop for 50 million miles, were sent up pronto to Phobos. You were ordered to secure the perimeter of the base while the rest of the team went inside. For several hours, your radio picked up the sounds of combat. Guns firing, men yelling orders, screams, bones cracking, and then finally, silence. Seems your buddies are dead. It's up to you. Things aren't looking too good. You'll never navigate off the planet on your own. Plus, all the heavy weapons were taken by the assault team, leaving you with only a pistol. If you could get your hands on a plasma rifle or even a shotgun, you could take a few down on your way out. Whatever killed your buddies deserves a few pellets in the forehead. Securing your helmet, you exit the landing pod. Hopefully you can find more substantial firepower somewhere within the station. As you walk through the main entrance of the base, you hear animal-like growls echoing throughout the distant corridors. They know you're here. There's no turning back now. Oh, I hope that wasn't too bad for you. Anyway, Doom 2 has a shorter introduction, but it does set the scene just as well as the original game. Then, Final Doom was released by id Software down the line. And I always just assumed that, like the master levels, the episodes included with Final Doom were more challenging maps just made for players to enjoy. Turns out, there are additional storylines found in the Plutonia Experiment and TNT Evolution. I won't get into them here, but I'm pleased to see that id Software dedicated so much effort to a backstory for their games and expansions, when most people strongly consider the entire first-person shooter genre mindless shooters. The misconception may have started because of the lack of story existing in the game itself, but rather being found in the instruction manuals. But this was a pretty commonplace practice for the earliest era of video games. Doom 3 tried to make up for that by retelling the original Doom story, but reinforcing the idea that this wasn't necessarily an accident, but misguided and relentless research into sciences mankind didn't fully understand. The Doom 3 BFG edition, Xbox 360 version shown here, gave a small facelift to the 2004 title with the addition of newer textures and some small tweaks, such as the ability to use a flashlight and a weapon at the same time. I've been waiting to touch on Doom 64 because of its uniqueness to the Doom series. I remember when the game first released, I expected yet another Doom remake on the N64, but as I cracked open that instruction manual on the car ride home, I learned I was in for something new. Everything was new. New sprites for the characters and weapons, and all new levels. Doom 64 still suffers from the same design limitations of the original Doom engine that map designers had to struggle with, including the infamous inability to have one room directly over another. Notice how the teleporter seen here is a level down and on the other side of the hallway, but not directly underneath the hallway. It feels like a multi-tiered room because of the experienced level designers taking over Doom 64, but it's the same old Doom engine. Still, the updated visuals, blurry as they may be, really helped sell Doom 64 as a new chapter in the Doom saga, one unique to the Nintendo 64, specifically highlighting new weapon sprites and entirely new weapons. So back to the storylines found in the manuals. Did they work? Heck yes! We all know Episode 1, Mission 1 like the back of our hands. E1M1's music kicks in, the door behind you is locked, there is literally no turning back now. Before long, you encounter the first down body of one of your fellow Marines. You're attacked by zombified gunners, and before you know it, you encounter the first imp, making the same animal sounds described in the manual. You want revenge, but more than that, you want to survive. Very visual styles aside, the Doom experience is exciting. Wolfenstein came before it, Quake, Unreal, Halo, and Call of Duty came after it, but it's Doom! If it's a mindless shooter to you, that's your problem. There is lore to the Doom games, and with what looks to be yet another reboot of the franchise on the horizon, I'm completely okay with it. The UAC's experiments into combining technology with what may only be described as supernatural forces of evil, your fallen Marine brothers, that feeling of solitude resulting in an instinctual need to survive. I'm always ready to jump into a new Doom, so that I can continue the story so far. Thanks for watching the second episode of Our Story So Far. If you like what you've seen, please like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And if you're looking for the latest news, join us over at ourstorysofar.tv or check me out on Twitter @NewAngel. That's NUANGEL. Feel free to leave a comment or send me a tweet if there's a certain video game franchise you're interested in knowing some of the backstory of and whether or not the manual mattered. Thanks for joining us on Our Story So Far.